All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another episode of the Facts Over Feelings podcast. This is episode number 91. And wow, let me just say, it's been a good couple of weeks for me as a Cleveland fan, more specifically as a Cleveland Cavaliers fan. I would say that, you guys both know a lot about this, but Eden in particular does because we've been talking about Donovan Mitchell being traded for months now. And not only did he get traded, not only did Donovan Mitchell get traded by the Utah Jazz before the start of the season, he got traded to my basketball team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. And what a trade it was. Some people were shocked. I was just pleasantly surprised, but was I shocked? Not necessarily. I'd said this for months. I said Cleveland was a great destination. It was a very distinct possibility. The fit was there. New York had the offer in, but New York played themselves as they always do. New York is full of clowns over there in that front office, and it continues to show. They could have gotten Donovan Mitchell, who honestly, to be honest, and I know I'm kind of jumping right in, I don't think would have fit that well in New York. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree, but like him being the one there doesn't really scare me. That team, would just have a bunch of small guards who, like, with Mitchell as the best player there, how good could the Knicks really be? I don't know. Not really very scary. Maybe a play-in team, maybe a playoff team at absolute best, but like that's just a big maybe. I don't think he fit that well there. I think Cleveland getting him, it's a much better fit. And look, I feel like, it's pretty obvious, right? We got Darius Garland with Donovan Mitchell. I mean, wow, that backcourt, by the way, just let me take a second. That's easily, Trevor, correct me if I'm wrong, that's got to be a top 3 backcourt in the NBA. That's fantastic right there.
Are we talking offensively or defensively? I just want to make sure, because I think defensively I'm a little more skeptical.
Look,
they have talent.
Look, sure. I'm glad you brought up the defense. I actually am, because people are going to bring up the defense a lot, and the defense is going to not be good from Mitchell and Garland. We know that they're not very good defenders, but on the bright side, the Cavaliers have 2 more All-Stars in the front court in Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley. And wow, they're
All-Stars.
They're going to be absolutely fine. They're going to be able to, Mobley's going to patrol the paint. He's going to make sure that, no one gets in there. He's going to do just fine. That defense is going to be great. Not only did he have Gobert in Utah,
I count 1 All-Star replacement, but 2 All-Stars, I'm not.
They're looking over here. They're counting on their hands. Look, Mobley might not be a named All-Star yet, but even Adrian Wojnarowski himself tweeted, "Future NBA All-Star Evan Mobley." Everyone knows it's going to happen. Everyone knows he has the capability. Everyone knows he'll be an All-Star sooner rather than later. He's going to be an All-Star. Okay. It's a matter of when, not if. Let me just put it that way. It's a great fit. We needed the scoring, right? We got Karis LeVert midway through last season because we needed the scoring. We needed someone to take the load off of Darius Garland late in games, especially someone who could handle the ball, someone who could get their own bucket at the end of the game. Donovan Mitchell is perfect for that. Now Garland can sit for a few extra minutes. Mitchell can run that team when he's not out there, and vice versa. Mitchell can rest. Garland can take care of the offense while Mitchell rests. It's going to be fantastic. And we still have a really, really good bench. We can talk about the return the Jazz got, and I know you guys are probably going a little more detail on that, but the Cavs got still have a really solid bench, at least in my opinion. You got Karis LeVert, Kevin Love, and Ricky Rubio coming off the bench, first 3 deep, with Rubio coming back, from injury. And I think that's a really, really solid bench for the Cavs. Love is obviously a great veteran. He was runner-up in 6th Man of the Year. Rubio, I think, is awesome. I think you guys as Suns fans know Rubio provides a lot of value, not even just on the floor, but also off the floor. He's just a great influence on the team. And LeVert's just another bucket getter who, has a long wingspan. And you have a core who's probably going to end up starting, who will be fine. I'd love to see some more out of him on offense. But the point is, the Cavs have a deep team. I know they gave up some players, right? They gave up Agbaji. They gave up Sexton, who I don't really think wasn't on the team last year with the success, so it's pretty irrelevant. And Lauri Markkanen, in my opinion, was the biggest, piece to leave. I was kind of sad to see him leave because he was really, really good for us last year. I know I would talk to Trevor off the air a lot. He was the guy who would hit the big shots for the Cavs. He would hit those big threes late in games. At least that's what I saw. So I'm going to miss him. But, if you're getting Donovan Mitchell an All-Star, it's going to be worth doing that. So, I was really happy about it. I think Mitchell, and I've said it on the pod before, I've said Mitchell's a little bit overrated by the league. It's true. He is. But now coming into Cleveland, he's not like the for sure number 1 guy, right? Like all these guys are really talented in the starting lineup. Like the Cavaliers have a really good lineup, and it's going to be a lot more balanced. And I think that Mitchell doesn't necessarily have to be the hero every time. And I think it fits really well with what the Cavs needed, which was, energy and being able to create your own shot, and that's exactly what Mitchell does. And he's one of the best at doing it. So I really like this trade. I'm excited. The Cavs have a ton of all-stars. I think we're a playoff team. I don't know if you guys agree, but yeah, I think we have to be in the top 6 at this point. I think we have to be.
Jack, go ahead.
Sure. Well, the first
we'll
thing
let Ryan finish the so-called brown nosing of the Donovan Mitchell. But
the first thing I want to say, it's interesting that we're doing this pod a couple days after the Queen of England died. So I just want to shout out Queen Elizabeth for her great life. Of course, we all know I'm English, so
wow.
I just wanted to shout that out. But anyways, I think in terms of this Cleveland Cavaliers trade, it was one that I didn't expect. I thought there was one clear suitor. It was the New York Knicks. And I thought, honestly, I didn't know whether the deal would have been focused around RJ and a couple picks, maybe a couple other pieces, or whether they were going to just give a boatload of picks, 5, 6, 7 picks maybe, to end up getting Donovan Mitchell. We all saw with the Rudy Gobert trade how the pick market got inflated, and now with the Donovan Mitchell trade, it's been back deflated a little bit. But I think, I don't know, you look at the 2 offers, that's the first place I want to start, is first of all, the Knicks offered RJ Barrett and 2 picks was their final offer, when previously they'd offered a little bit more. And you get, a bunch of role players from the Cleveland Cavaliers and Colin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen, and then if Agbaji turns into something, I think you get 3 solid role players there. I wouldn't say that those guys value-wise they're probably pretty comparable, actually, I would say, to an RJ Barrett in a standalone trade. And then on top of that, you get 3 unprotected picks, which the Knicks were not willing to offer.
Yeah, I think they said 2, right? Unprotected is what they were willing to do.
The Knicks were offering 2, yes.
Yeah.
And Ainge was trying to get that 3rd, and it was just unable to happen. So I think from that standpoint, Ainge coveted the picks, and you get a couple of young players who are under contract for a while. Maybe you can grow with them. Maybe you can flip them for assets later down the line.
Yep.
But I think in terms of a return, Utah got a really good return. I think there was some speculation about whether it was an emotional decision and they just wanted to spite New York. I don't see that to be true. I think the 2 offers were comparable, especially when you add that extra unprotected first round pick. The thing I want to bring up with the picks, though, is Donovan Mitchell, obviously going to be in Cleveland, is going to be a fun team, young team working together, all that stuff. Yeah. But does Donovan Mitchell want to be in Cleveland for the long term? And there's no speculation going out about that right now. But the reason I bring that up is because the 3 picks that Utah received are 2025, 7, and 9. And I believe Donovan Mitchell becomes a free agent in that 2025 season. So there is potential there if down the line things don't work out over 2 years and Mitchell wants to leave for a bigger market. Mm-hmm. That would be interesting to see how that plays out with those 3 unprotected firsts. And I think Danny Ainge kind of, not that he knows where he's going to be 3 years down the line, but I think that was a big reason why they didn't want their 24 first round pick and instead wanted to defer that a little bit. But it'll be interesting to see. In terms of what the Cavs got, I think this is a great fit for them. My only question is defensively that I brought up earlier, but if Okoro's supposed to be this defensive stopper that he was coming out of the draft, if you have a guy like Lamar Stevens coming off your bench who can come in and defend, I think if you can fill those guys defensively, especially, with a Mobley or a Jarrett Allen.
Mobley Allen front court is,
I think this team can do some serious damage. And in terms of how this season is going to go about, I don't know if it takes a year or 2, but I see this Cavs team ultimately competing for one of those top 4 spots that we were talking about. It was a clear 1 and 2 at the top for the top 4 teams, and then 5 through 8, 9 play-in. That was more of a debate. I think with this trade, the Cleveland Cavaliers are propelled into that top half of the Eastern Conference.
Can I ask you a question even before Trevor goes ahead? And this can go to Trevor too, I guess. If you think that they can go to the top 4, do you think, how far away are they? Assuming that the young guys, Garland and Mobley in particular, right, continue to make some jumps in the next few years. How far away do you think they are from like that Boston level or Milwaukee level? Are they still like real? Like, is it like, okay, like they're definitely like, they're going to be way below? Or is it like, maybe they could get there? I'm just
I
curious.
think I gotta see it first. So I think
Okay.
honestly, I would say
Yeah.
if as soon as the season after this coming season, I think they could be there.
Okay. Okay.
I think they're firmly entrenched in the top 5 right now. I think they're better than Atlanta. I think they're significantly, and I think ultimately they could jump the Miami Heat and grab that 4 spot this season. But in terms of being at the Boston or Milwaukee level that we think is the top 2, and Philly's gotten a lot better even since we've last talked as well. I think
And Brooklyn.
and Brooklyn is back as well.
I feel good about I feel good about being better than Brooklyn now, though.
I would say if you give them a season to play together, they are a legitimate threat to win the East, I would say, within 2 years.
Fair. Yeah, Trevor, what do you think? I'm curious.
They're not a legitimate threat to win the East. Here's why. Here's why. I love the trade for Cleveland. Let me preface it with that. I love the fit. I think the Cavs got really good value for Donovan Mitchell. I don't think they gave up too much. And I'm reading an article that the Knicks back in July offered exactly what the Jazz were looking for. They offered Barrett, Obi Toppin, Mitchell Robinson, and 3 unprotected firsts in early July. And the Jazz turned that offer down, which is why Mitchell Robinson and RJ Barrett signed their extensions with the New York Knicks. So for me, the Utah Jazz kind of fumbled a little bit here. I feel like they overplayed their hand. They tried pulling a Brooklyn, and they should have just taken that original Knicks offer, for being real. That would have been way better players for their future. Instead, they got Agbaji, whatever. He'll be a mid role player. Sexton, not very good at basketball. He's a decent scorer.
Hey.
And Lauri Markkanen is a nice asset. I think he's easily the best asset of the 3. And then you get the 3 picks. But look, you had a better offer from New York. So I'm going to give the Jazz a B- for this trade. And I'm going to give the Cavs an A. I think the Cavs nailed this trade. They didn't give up any of their starters practically.
Yeah.
Except the one that they didn't really need because they already had 2 7-footers. And you bring in a perennial all-star, a guy who's made the playoffs every year, a guy who's carried a franchise to the playoffs for the last 5 years in Donovan Mitchell. Yes, they fell short in the playoffs a lot, but those Jazz teams, he was always the guy. He was carrying the load there. And I think that's going to serve this young Cleveland team well. Donovan Mitchell's a winner in this league, and I think he's going to help this Cleveland team win a lot. But Cleveland's not a championship threat to me for a couple more years. I just don't see this team beating Milwaukee. I don't see them coming close to beating Milwaukee right now.
Coming close.
I don't realistically see them coming close to beating Boston either. I think both those teams are far and away better than everybody else in the East. But I do agree. I think the Cavs are somewhere in that 3 to 6 range. I think they could be as high as 3. I think they could be as low as 6. I think they'll end up being 4 to 5. I mean, there's a lot of competition now in the East.
There is.
Good. I mean, there's a lot of competition in the NBA. The West is just as good, if not better. But the East has all of a sudden gotten really good now with Cleveland and Brooklyn coming back. So I think here's the thing. I think Cleveland is basically on par with Miami, Philadelphia. Yeah, Miami and Philadelphia. I think Cleveland's on par with those 2 teams. I think they're slightly worse than Brooklyn. And I think they're better than the Atlanta, Toronto, and Chicago's of the world. So I think Cleveland is in that group I just mentioned. But like I said, I love the trade. I love the value that they got. The Jazz got decent value, but I think they could have gotten better. Looking at that Knicks offer was way better, and it was exactly what they were looking for back in early July. But look, at the end of the day, what we saw from the Phoenix Suns in 2021 usually doesn't happen. You usually don't see a team go from irrelevant garbage to the NBA Finals in one go-around. The Cleveland Cavaliers.
We were irrelevant last year.
What's up?
And we were like completely garbage last year.
Okay, but like you were about where the Suns were the year before.
Yeah. So
okay, not irrelevant garbage, but irrelevant in terms of winning a championship to making the finals.
That's fair.
So I think there's going to be some trials and tribulations in the playoffs. We saw it with Giannis and the Bucks for years. We're seeing it with KD. KD can't win in the playoffs with the Nets. We saw the Celtics lose a couple times in the playoffs. So for me, the Cavaliers in 3 or 4 years, I think can win the East, but I don't see it for at least 3 years. If I'm being real.
At least 3. Yeah, this is interesting. And yeah, what do you want to say? Go ahead.
Could you make the comparison of the Cleveland Cavaliers to the Phoenix Suns though? If you look from 2 years back, they were terrible.
There's
The
just too
year
much that
before,
happened.
they
I mean,
both
yes.
just missed the playoffs. The Suns with the bubble and the Cavs
And then
now.
and then who did the Suns
And then
trade for?
potentially this season, I think a lot of things have to go right. You look back at that Suns
That's what
run
I'm
and say
saying. A
what
lot of
went
things
right
went
for the
right.
Suns.
Very
The
true.
role players stepped up, ran into some banged up teams.
Yep.
So not to say that we didn't earn it, but we did. I would say that everything went right for us, and more went right for us than other teams that we played.
Absolutely.
So you kind of need to get that luck, which is an element in any playoff run. I'm
That's
not saying I
that's why
expect
I'm
it to
not ready to
happen,
commit
but
to that. That's why I'm not ready to commit to that. But
I think as soon as within 2 years, they could be there.
Yeah, I think so. I think that so look, I agree with Eden. I think that the Cavs need one playoff run together. They do, right? Like very, very few times you see a team take the league by storm and make the finals, right? Like you said, Trevor, the Suns run, that is super, super, super rare. You don't see that happen very often, right? It's just not something that you should expect, right? So I don't think the Cavs are gonna make the finals this year. But I do think, that they're definitely in that top 5. And I think that like until I see Kyrie and KD pull it together, like I just have them below those 5. Like they're better than Toronto, they're better than Chicago, but like I just need to see them pull it together. I just do. I need to see that whole team pull it together, to be honest with you, not just them, the whole team. So like I have them below like the Clevelands, the Miamis, the Philadelphias, right? And then obviously Milwaukee and Boston at the top. But I think that the Cavs right now are a legitimate Eastern Conference, finals contender. I don't think, if I had to predict, I don't think they'd make the Eastern Conference Finals the first year, but they're a legit contender for it. Like they've got the talent. Yeah. And, I think we can all agree the Cavs have like probably top 3 talent. If you just look at pure talent and not like experience and all that and like, the nuances that you look into it, I'd say the Cavs probably have top 3 talent in the East right now. The thing is, I mean, okay, that's what I think, but I think that experience is something they need, right? Like that's why I wanted us to make the playoffs this year. We got a play-in game, that's great, but to get a full series for these young guys is really important. So like,
games.
Yeah, right. Yeah, 2 games. Don't remind me.
More experience, right?
Don't remind me. Yeah, no, seriously though. I mean, it's good. It is good experience to have, to be honest. I'll tell you this: Trae Young won't be waving goodbye to D. Mitch and DG this year. I'll tell you that. Okay, that won't happen this time. But also, let me just say this: I'd much rather have Donovan Mitchell than Dejounte Murray for the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavaliers were also interested in Dejounte Murray, and I'm kind of glad that we didn't go after him instead because he's a great player. But his one weakness is he can't shoot. The Cleveland Cavaliers' biggest weakness is they don't have enough shooters, right? So if we got him, it would have been great. Sure, it would have been nice. But DG would be the only shooter outside of Kevin Love, right? You literally have no shooters. So I think it was great that we got a guy like Donovan Mitchell, a 40% shooter who can he can catch and shoot, and he can pull up off the dribble. And keep in mind, by the way, he played with Rubio, and he was a great catch and shoot guy. Rubio ran that offense when he was there in Utah, and they loved it. And now they're back together. I think that's awesome. And I think that the element with DG and Mitchell will work really well. They can both play off ball, I think. And so I think it'll be a lot of fun. I was going to say one more thing before we moved on, because Eden had a point about like Mitchell leaving and whatnot, and how and I was just going to say, like, you're right. Like he has a player option after 2 years, so he could leave like after 2 full seasons. It's definitely possible. And Ainge definitely had that in mind, by the way. Like he definitely did. Like we can pretend he definitely knows that like when Mitchell's contract's running out. So he had that in mind. But like the Cavs, they'll have Mobley and Garland at least. So I wouldn't be worried about them being a lottery team. But that's definitely something they'll keep in mind. And I think worst case scenario, the Cavs would just trade Mitchell. If the experiment didn't work, they just trade him after a couple of years and kind of reset with a new, I don't know, all-star, maybe even not, maybe just a couple role pieces. But the point is, I think they'd reset. But it'll be interesting. It'll be fun. I think we're an Eastern Conference Finals threat, and it's fun. I think that now more than ever, it's the closest thing we've had to a Suns Cavaliers Finals possibility. I think that I used to joke about it with Trevor, especially with both of them. But now, who knows? It's actually like a legit. It's not like a completely laughable thing. It's actually possible. So that'd be so fun. That'd be great. But I love this trade. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And the Jazz did also play themselves. Trevor made a good point. Utah literally accepted a worse deal because they were waiting. And credit to Kobe Altman, by the way, the Cavaliers GM. I have mad respect for him. He's one of the most aggressive GMs in all of basketball. He got Jared Allen in a trade with James Harden. Great snag, right? He got D. Mitchell here. He signed a guy like Lauri Markkanen into a really cheap deal that helped him a lot, and eventually got them Mitchell, right? Like, because he's great value on a really cheap deal. And I just really like the aggressiveness that he's had. So I just got to kind of give props to Kobe Altman for doing a great job because he's been awesome for the Cavs. So Yeah, I look, we can wrap this up, but this has been fun for me, but I know there's not a ton of talk about in the NBA. We want to move on, right? We want to talk about some NFL, right? Unless you guys have any final thoughts.
I just wanted to ask, which of the three of us has said Mitchell is extremely inefficient?
Ryan.
That's what I thought. Okay. I was just so
Were you joking or were you
think-
serious? Like, yeah, it was definitely me.
No,
Yeah.
I thought it was you, but I
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
sure if it was Trevor. And
That
I'm
was
just
me.
curious what your thoughts with his inefficiencies are.
Yeah,
You think he'll
so-
have to shoot less or get more open shots with the talent around him, or
Yeah.
how
So
does that factor into the trade?
I think that like that's part of the fit with Cleveland, right? Because he has a guy like Darius Garland next to him. I think that it takes a lot of the pressure off of him, right? A lot of the reason he had some inefficiency and a lot of the reason he was taking 24, 25 shots a game in Utah was because he didn't have anyone else in the starting. I mean, he had
Playing
Mike
with
Conley.
Rudy Gobert. What can he
He had-
do?
he
The
had a
guy
third-
can't score.
So, anyways, here's my
Yeah.
point with that is
Yes.
my one question for this working out would be, I think a lot of the inefficiencies that came from Donovan Mitchell in Utah
Sure.
are because he had no one else there.
Yep.
He had to be a ball dominant player.
Yes.
So now, is he going to be able to make the transition with Garland bringing the ball up the floor on the majority
Absolutely.
of plays to be an off-ball guy?
Yeah,
So
that's
Absolutely.
definitely like
that's
something
what I'm
something
gonna
to
look
think
to
about.
watch.
But I think he can because he did it early in his career, and I say with Rubio because that's who he did it with early in his career. And I think it's kind of like lucky that he's also on our team, so it's like it like works out in the sense of like I think it'll help him a lot, like remember like, and hopefully it gets him back into the swing of like being able to play off ball more, right? And so he was really efficient when he played off ball. Like I remember seeing a number, he shot over 40% on threes when on catch and shoot threes, not off the dribble, catch and shoot. So he is going to have a lot of room to do that, and he's going to be relied upon to do that because we don't have a lot of shooters on our team, even with Mitchell now, right? We still don't have a lot of shooters. So yeah, I hope that he can, but it's definitely a question, like, because he'll have to shake off like being that guy.
Right.
So
It'll
I
either
know,
be,
I
I think it'll either be his game will take the next step forward by doing that, or it's going to take a step back.
Or it's like he's that guy, right?
Now.
He becomes like the 1B or even the 2, right? Like, yeah, we'll see. Like, you're right. Like, definitely, he might not be, the guy he was, which I'm okay with though. As long as it's team success, I don't really care. I do want to say, by the way, I think the NBA, it's something that helps, like staying in Cleveland, by the way, is they loved Darius Garland. For some reason, players love DG. Like, I don't know what it is, but everyone seems to like always shout him out. Everyone seems to like love to play with them or want to play with them or talk with or practice with them, whatever. I keep seeing it everywhere. I don't know. It's just like, I keep seeing it all the time. So I think that's great for Cleveland, just for Cleveland, because Cleveland's not a free agent destination, and to have a guy like Donovan Mitchell, like at least so far, seeming to be like excited to come to Cleveland is just like something you wouldn't have ever dreamed of, a few years ago. So it's just like, it's great to have a guy like DG who people actually want to play with, so it's just cool to have something that I kind of wanted to add, but yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting. I'm excited. I have hope that it'll work, but
it's going to work. It's going to work.
I think it'll work too. I also hope Mitchell.
Didn't we have these same questions about Chris Paul and Devin Booker, and that worked like a charm? I mean, it couldn't have worked better than it did. So I mean,
True.
I don't see the issue here. I really don't. I think if Mitchell and Garland want to win, then they're going to figure it out. I think they're both. They seem like both humble enough dudes to where I don't think either one is going to need the ball 100% of the time. I think both are going to want to defer to each other. And it reminds me of the Devin Booker earlier years before he got a true point guard, right? Like Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell are very capable of being ball dominant, de facto point guards. But I think both of them are more comfortable in the shooting guard,
I
role
agree.
where they don't have to man the offense. And I think Darius Garland is very good at manning the offense. So I think Darius Garland should be the guy who averages 20 and 12, 20 and 10. And Donovan Mitchell is your 20 to 25 point per night scorer, kind of like what Devin Booker and Chris Paul are. So I really don't think that's going to be an issue.
Similar teams.
And Ryan makes a good point. I think Donovan Mitchell I shouldn't say wants, but I think Donovan Mitchell is very happy he's in Cleveland. I think he's ecstatic to play with the guys he's playing with, which will help as well. But, you know, Cleveland's a city. So, I mean, we'll see how long he wants to stay there.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully he just wants to stay with my boy DG. So that, that's my hope. But yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, because that Mobley guy, he's useless.
Yeah, he gets a lot of hate. I don't understand, whatever. It is what it is. Look, a quote from Trevor. Trevor's like, Scotty Barnes is better. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, These Suns fans think DeAndre Ayton might be better than Mobley. Okay, I'm sorry. We can't get in this debate. We can do this another week. I'm sorry. I
Might
can't
be.
start
He
this.
is better, but
I
anyway.
can't start this. But look, we'll see what happens. I'm excited. Training camp opens in a couple weeks, but we're not going to be talking about a lot of NBA the next couple weeks or month or two because we have NFL, and that's what we're going to talk about now. We got some NFL to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. We got some games. We're recording this on Saturday, and the games start tomorrow, and I am excited. We got a full slate of games, and really the way I wanted to do this, and the way Trevor and I would normally do this is we just give a couple of games that we're interested in and talk about it, and see who we like. And I kind of thought maybe we would kick it off by doing something like that. I don't know if anyone has a kind of game in particular they had in mind that they wanted to talk about. Trevor, you got something? What do you got here? What's a game?
This is the game I'm most looking forward to watching this entire weekend.
What is it?
It's the Browns-Panthers game, and it's not even close.
Wow.
I just love the story of this game, right? Like, it's just bad blood all around. Baker Mayfield playing his former team week 1. The Browns seemingly, find their guy in Baker a few years ago, and then they toss him to the Carolina Panthers. They have to pay the Carolina Panthers to get rid of him. I think Baker is going to have the biggest chip on his shoulder he's ever had. And this guy has a pretty massive chip on his shoulder. He is a very fiery dude, which, has gotten him to this point in his career, right? As an NFL quarterback, as a bust. I mean,
the disrespect, like what this man did for Cleveland, he brought them back to relevance, and the disrespect. I can't believe.
Yeah, it's a fair point, and I'm looking forward to this game because I feel like it's the most even game of the entire weekend because both of these teams' strengths, I should say, the teams have the same strengths and weaknesses.
Fair.
The strengths of both teams are defense and the running game, right? Yep. I mean, the Panthers have Christian McCaffrey. And then the Browns obviously have that 1-2 punch with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt.
Batman, Nick Chubb, baby.
People forget that Carolina Panthers have a very, very formidable young defense. They got some playmakers on that defensive line. Derek Brown. They got that nice corner, J.C. Horn coming back. Chen is a nice young safety. So this Carolina Panthers defense is better than people think. I think they're a little underrated. They're in it, Ryan's shaking his head, but I'm telling you, they're better than people think. And I think they're going to have a good day tomorrow.
Hey, Trevor. Baker's going to go to sleep tonight. He's going to literally hear footsteps. And you know what it's going to be? It's going to be Myles Garrett coming after him. Okay.
Look, Ryan can be arrogant all he wants, but who's Ryan's quarterback tomorrow? It's Jacoby Brissett. And if I'm a betting man, I'm going to bet on Baker Mayfield over Jacoby Brissett. And
I'm a Baker hater. He's a Baker hater.
I'm a Baker hater. But at the end of the day, the Browns are starting a backup quarterback on the road. We'll see how that turns out for them. I think this might be the lowest scoring game of the entire NFL season. Ryan told me, I don't know the weather, but Ryan told me it's supposed to be rain and thunderstorms, which leads me to believe there's not going to be a lot of throwing. There's going to be some fumbles. I could see this game easily being 13-10, 14-7, 13-6.
Run heavy. Yeah.
Very run heavy. Which I don't know which team that really favors. Maybe the Browns because they have a better offensive line. But look, the Panthers have an elite running back in Christian McCaffrey too. So it's going to be a fun, ugly game. I expect some fights. I expect some theatrics. I'm going to come right out and say it. I'm going to give the Carolina Panthers the win in this game. I think Baker gets his revenge. But ultimately, the Browns do get the last laugh. They have Deshaun Watson. They will eventually be able to unveil that weirdo of a quarterback.
True.
They'll eventually be able to unveil him, but the Baker Mayfield led Panthers, that team is decent enough to be able to beat a team like the Browns on any given Sunday.
Yeah, Eden, I'm going to go ahead real quick, if you don't mind, just because it's my Cleveland Browns that he's talking about. Look, I actually agree with Trevor, and you might be surprised to hear me say this, but I actually think the Carolina Panthers are going to win this game. It's in Carolina. Baker Mayfield will have a chip on his shoulder. I don't think he'll have a great game, but I just don't have much trust in Jacoby Brissett right now. I haven't seen a lot of him, to be fair. I don't think he'll make a lot of mistakes. I just don't think he has the explosiveness that you're going to need. I think that Baker will make 1 or 2 nice throws. I think he'll make a bunch of bad throws. I think it'll be a low-scoring game, as Trevor said. I just get nervous when the Browns have a weak wide receiver room and they don't have a good quarterback. It's just hard to win a lot of games when you have one talented receiver, nobody else, and then not a good quarterback, right? It's just hard to win in this league when you have that combination. So, I think that it's just going to be tough. I think that McCaffrey will get hurt on the third play and be out for the season. I think that Myles Garrett will.
My God.
I think Myles Garrett will feast against a rookie left tackle. I mean, it's a rookie first game. That's a tough assignment to draw, no matter who you are. And he's a rookie. So I think that Myles Garrett's going to have a fun time. I think Baker's going to have a tough game. But I do think at the end of the day, the Panthers, I'd favor them. It's at home, right? Which I think helps. If it was in Cleveland, I'd go Cleveland for sure. It's one of these games where I think it depends on who's at home. And I think Baker having the crowd behind him is going to be big. I think that Cleveland's going to, hear a lot of, boos, hear the music, and there's a lot of pressure. But we'll see what happens. It all comes down to the run game for Cleveland. If Chubb and Hunt can feast, then they'll dominate. I don't know if it'll be enough. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be a fun game. I'm nervous, but I'm excited. But also, the stakes for me aren't that high, right? So you have to understand this is his biggest game. It was maybe outside of the playoff game, maybe the biggest game of his career, right? And so there's a lot of line for him here. He needs to beat the Browns just for himself, if not for anybody else. The Browns, though, are just kind of like, we'd love to win. We want to be decent when Watson comes back, but we don't have our star QB. So it's like, there's a little bit there, like, even if we lose, it's like, we don't have our star QB. As Trevor's point was, he's not coming back for 11 weeks. So, I'm not, overly, stressed about it, but it'll be a fun one. It'll be a close game. It'll be emotional. It'll be chippy. And I'm curious what Eden thinks. What do you think's going to happen here?
I don't really have much to say on this game.
Really?
Can I just pick neither team to win? Like, I just think both teams are terrible.
Terrible. Okay, I don't. Whoa. I don't.
But
terrible is a strong word.
Well, terrible without Deshaun Watson. Yeah, but
Okay.
if you're telling me to pick a team, I'm gonna go with the Cleveland Browns, and I don't have any reason why.
Yes. Thank you. Someone
I'm
picked
just
the
gonna take
Browns.
Cleveland because if it's a running game, I like Chubb and Hunt and that 1-2 punch. And even if you're throwing, you're gonna throw short routes. I mean, I know you got McCaffrey on the other side, but I just think talent-wise, I think Cleveland has more
Yes.
talent, despite the
True.
fact that they're starting their backup, and that's what I'm basing my pick on.
That's
all.
fair. Yeah, the Browns definitely have more talent. It's just like, is Brissett enough? Right? Is the question. So we'll see
The
what happens.
Panthers
yes.
have DJ Moore.
And
Good-
Robbie
good
Anderson.
Lord, and Robbie Anderson. And don't forget about Laviska Shenault. They just traded.
Oh, I
for him.
forgot about him.
Yeah, they did
Well,
just trade for
I
him.
mean, you guys are kind of Debbie Downers. I feel like this is going to be a very fun game to watch in a weird way, right? Like,
No, I
there's
think
not
it'll be
gonna
fun,
a lot
too.
of. There's
This
not
is-
going to be.
This is the game
Yeah.
I'm least looking forward
Wow.
to this week,
What?
which I
Trevor,
thought was funny
Eden,
that Trevor said
the
that.
storylines are fun. The storylines
The
they're there.
storyline is the only thing that matters. And then when Baker throws 2 picks and Brissett has 1, you're like, why am I watching this game?
Yes.
You're
You know, if
watching
we-
it because you want to see what Baker does. You never know what Baker does.
Which is terrible. But anyways,
Yo, Trevor,
can we switch to
I
my
hope-
favorite game? Of
Can I
the
just
week?
say real quick? I hope Myles Garrett sacks him and just kind of just stares him down a little bit.
I think Myles Garrett may get 2.5 sacks this week.
it
Yeah,
might
and
not be.
Ekwonu was struggling in the preseason, so he's going to have an interesting time tomorrow against.
And who's on the other side, Trevor? Jadeveon Clowney, baby, who had one of his best years of his career last year. Let me just say, because obviously Myles on the other side. of
You
him.
guys won like 4 games last
We
year.
won 8 games, okay? We won 8 games.
Oh
we
my
weren't
God.
we weren't as bad as people say. We were a mid team, but whatever. We'll move on from that. Eden, what's your game? We'll move on from my Browns. We've talked a lot about.
My
Cleveland.
favorite game of the week
Oh boy,
is a
Cardinals,
divisional
Chiefs.
matchup It's a divisional of one team that I love this year, and it's going to be the best
No.
division in football.
You don't say that.
The Oakland Raiders at the LA Chargers is my favorite game of the week. And here's why. I think you have 2 of the most high-powered offenses in the NFL this season. I think this game could potentially be a shootout. It's going to be in LA, but as we all know, the Chargers have no home fan base. So it's really going to be a neutral site game, in my opinion.
Yep.
And you have Vegas isn't very far away for all those crazy Vegas fans that want to go out to the Chargers. And you think of the black hole back in Oakland. But anyways, in terms of this game, I'm going to stick to my guns. I love the Raiders this year. I picked them to win the division. I picked the Chargers to finish last in the division. And that starts week 1 when
Right.
Derek Carr lights up that defense with Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, and newly signed Darren Waller. So give me my Raiders, baby.
Trevor, do you want to take this or should I?
I'll take this real quick. Look,
Yeah, go ahead.
both offenses are great. I agree with you, Jack. Derek Carr is going to have his choice of weapons. Devontae Adams is elite. Darren Waller, glad that they re-signed him. He is I would say an elite tight end. I think Hunter Renfrow is very solid in the slot, and also a very good route runner. I've seen some videos of him just in and out of cuts and breaks. He's a very, very good route runner. But here's the thing. Who's playing defense for the Las Vegas Raiders? Because I know it isn't Trayvon Mullen anymore. He's an Arizona Cardinal. Shout out Trayvon Mullen.
I can give you two guys. That's probably all I know.
That's the big weakness for this Raiders team is who's playing defense and who's playing defense in that secondary. And at the end of the day,
that's it.
Justin Herbert has his weapons too. Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler as a running back and receiver. Don't sleep on Ryan's guy, Joshua Palmer. I don't know why.
Hey, he's actually decent.
Well, I don't know about that, but he's a guy that I know, so that counts. But
sure, no.
The Raiders defense is just not good for me. It doesn't do it for me. I think Justin Herbert's also going to put up MVP-like numbers this season, and that will start week 1. He'll go for 320 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Wow.
But yeah, I think that's the big difference. I think the Chargers just have more playmakers on the defense. I think they'll get a turnover too. I think that'll be the difference. And for me, the Chargers, I have it flipped from Jack. I have the Chargers winning this division and the Raiders finishing last. So I think it's like we kind of have the polar opposites.
We all had it different, yeah.
But yeah, I don't trust Las Vegas's defense. It's a decent front seven. I think Chandler Jones, after watching him last year, is a little overrated. I don't think he had half his sacks in one game. He had 11 sacks last year. 5 came in week 1. Max Crosby had a very good season for that team last year. But we talk about, Ekwonu going up against Myles Garrett. Rashawn Slater is an elite left tackle, or is he right tackle? I don't remember which side he's on.
I don't know.
He's left.
I think
he's left. That's right. Okay. So Rashawn Slater is an elite left tackle. So he will most likely neutralize one of those 2 edge rushers. I think this is just a better matchup for the Chargers. I don't see, also, this is a big thing. I don't see a weakness with this Chargers team. Maybe their special teams. I don't know.
Run defense.
Maybe their run defense.
Yeah.
But the Raiders aren't going to kill them on the ground. Josh Jacobs is not an explosive running back.
True.
He's more of like a power, short down, short yardage type of guy.
Yep.
So for me, I think I've said for me like 12 times, but the Chargers just match up better with the Raiders than the Raiders matching up with the Chargers, which is why I like the Chargers. 31-26 covering. Wait, do they cover if they win by 5?
Yes, that's 3.5.
3.5. Okay. 31-26 Chargers.
Yeah. Look, can I just say this? This might be one of the few times I say this, but I pretty much completely agree with Trevor here. And let me just say this.
Because I'm smart. I know things.
Let me just say this. I'm in between both of you. I think I know. I have the Chargers 2nd and the Raiders 3rd, I believe, in the division, with the Broncos 4th and the Chiefs 1st. So I'm in between both of you on this. And here's the difference for me. You talk about the defenses. Look, I think both defenses are very unproven, right? Some new talent on both sides. The Chargers were awful in run defense last year. No matter how bad the running back was, the running back always seemed to go for over 100 yards. They would always give up a lot of yardage. It was a disaster, right? And their secondary wasn't anything great either, especially because the health of Derwin James has always been in question. Is he ever healthy? That's just the question. So they weren't great on defense. They have a lot of new guys. They have a lot of really talented guys, but will they step up week 1? I don't know. It's going to be hard. It's a new defense. It takes a few weeks to gel, right? It's just how it is, right? So that's a question for me. And the Raiders, obviously, question marks on defense. I'm not going to go into that. Trevor did enough. My thing is the difference in quarterback. Look, Derek Carr's a good quarterback. He's really good even. I think he's probably borderline top 10, right? But Justin Herbert is on another tier from Derek Carr. I'm sorry. He just is, right? He's just more consistent, especially in down the field throws. Derek Carr, to me, in my mind, is a more conservative quarterback, more of a methodical guy. In my eyes, Herbert's more of a gunslinger, right? He's more similar to a Mahomes than he is to a methodical guy like Derek Carr, right? It's just they're different types of quarterbacks. And so in that instance, I think in a shootout, which I think this will be, I have the Chargers winning this game because I think that Herbert will be able to get down the field more effectively and faster than Derek Carr. And also the running back difference is also something important to note to me. So those are kind of the reasons for me that I'd pick the Chargers, just because I trust Herbert more to put up points faster than Derek Carr. I just don't know if he can keep up. That's my only thing. And also a fact that Herbert doesn't have new weapons to balance out. I think that Devontae Adams is going to be great. But it's going to take a second for Derek Carr to get used to a whole new offense where you're throwing to Devontae Adams 15 times a game. It's just a different style of offense when you're force feeding one guy. And who knows, maybe it'll cause some trouble early. Like you look at, and I look to Baker and the Browns back when OBJ went there. Baker, what ruined him is he tunnel vision to a guy like OBJ. So, who knows? My point is I trust Herbert more with his weapons that he's had for, a couple of years now. And I think he's a more explosive quarterback. So I'd have the Chargers winning. And if we're doing scoring predictions, I'll go big. Let's say, I'll go 38-31 Chargers. I think that they run up the score. Yeah, it's a lot of points. It's going to be a big one.
I disagree. I disagree a little bit on the Derek Carr.
27-24 Raiders.
There you go. What, Trevor? Why do you
disagree on the Derek Carr point a little bit? I don't necessarily think Derek Carr's not a gunslinger. I just don't think I don't think Derek Carr's ever had the receiving, receiving talent. I just don't think he's ever had.
I will note his rookie year, Trevor. He was fantastic. Derek Carr was, if you remember. And who were his receivers? Prime Michael Crabtree and Amari Cooper. And so you're right. He did have a great year that he was really good. So I just think
it's hard when you're throwing to Bryan Edwards, Zay Jones, and Hunter Renfrow. It's hard to be considered that gunslinger down the field quarterback.
Fair.
When you don't have a down the field threat, right? Like, isn't Matthew Stafford is considered to be a gunslinger quarterback? And we saw week 1 Thursday night against the Bills how much he struggled just from the lack of explosiveness with his receivers right now. Throwing the ball down the field. So I disagree on that point a little bit, but I agree with everything else you said. And Jack, look, you know a lot about sports. You're a great sports bettor, but you are wrong in this situation, my friend. But throw money on it. Throw money on the Raiders money line.
I already did. I have a $2 free bet on the Raiders.
$2.
I have a $2. It was a $2 free bet. I was like, I'll throw it on the Raiders. I'll put my money where my mouth is. As my roommate always says when I tell him you should have done the other thing.
That's fair. All right.
But anyways, one other matchup, not a matchup, but one other thing that I'm going to be very curious to watch, and probably the only thing I'm worried about on the defensive side of the ball is obviously I'm going to watch this game because I want to see a lot of scoring, but I'm very curious to see the difference between Max Crosby and Chandler Jones on one side and Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack on the other side of the football. I think that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Just wanted to throw that out.
A very interesting matchup within the matchup, for sure.
Matchup within the matchup. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to pan over to the third game, which is my choice of game. And, I'm going to make you guys happy here. I'm going to talk about your team, the Arizona Cardinals, because, look, there is a lot to unpack here. There just is. I'm sorry. There is. And a lot of it has to do for me with the Chiefs, not necessarily the Cardinals, because we all know the Cardinals, they'll be, whatever. They'll be fine. They'll be okay. But the Kansas City Chiefs.
What are you talking about?
Look, it's going to be in Arizona, and I'm interested to see. Actually, there's a bunch of good storylines. Will Kyler Murray be good without DeAndre Hopkins? Will he be able to be that elite MVP level quarterback he has been the last 2 seasons in the first half of the year? Right? He was an elite quarterback. And Trevor would say for years, both of the last 2 seasons on the pods, he said, hey, look, Kyler Murray's an MVP candidate by week 7 or week 8. And then by the end of the year, it wasn't even a possibility.
Well, yeah, but that's because COD came out. Give him a break.
You're right. He has to split his time, between his 2 professions.
He's a pro gamer.
Yeah, dude, actually. But look, the thing is, it's going to be interesting without D-Hop this time around, and without Rondale Moore. He does not have receivers in this first game. He's got AJ Green and Marquise Hollywood drop everything Brown. So, he has those 2
everything Brown.
He has those 2 receivers with Zach Ertz also out tomorrow. It looks like trending out. We'll see if that's actually going to happen. Point is, he's not going to have a lot of weapons, and I am a little nervous. James Conner's now the workhorse back. Can he handle the workload, not only in this game, but this entire season? Without that 1-2 punch, kind of taking a little bit of the workload off of him. Can he handle it? He couldn't handle it in Pittsburgh. He got hurt, multiple years in a row when he was asked to handle the workload. So we'll see. Point is, there's a lot of question marks around this Cardinals offense. I don't know if they'll be able to put up points. The Chiefs defense isn't anything to be scared of. So I'd say hopefully they could put up some points here. I just don't know who they're going to throw to. I just don't know. And so it'll be interesting to see if the Cardinals can put up points. And on the other side of the ball, it comes over to the Cardinals defense, which has 0 corners. And this is especially the case if Byron Murphy misses tomorrow's game, and he's highly questionable for tomorrow's game. So if he misses tomorrow's game, Trevor and Jack, I don't know. I don't know if the Cardinals can stop anyone on the Chiefs consistently. It'll be interesting. And also, no Tyreek Hill.
Sorry,
Byron Murphy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's not good.
Questionable
And,
with an illness.
yep,
yeah.
which is tough. And so, everyone's got JJ
Oh.
Watt, I think is going to play, Trevor, but he was also questionable, I thought I saw. But, we'll see what happens there. And then the Chiefs obviously have no Tyreek Hill. So what's going to happen? Who's going to step up? Is it going to be a multi receiver thing, or is it going to be one guy? There's a lot of good stuff, a lot of interesting stuff to see. Will Valdez-Scantling, will it be Juju? Who will it be? I don't know. So it'll be a fun game just to kind of see who steps up where, which offense can kind of get out in front of the other. This could be a deceivingly lower scoring game than we'd think, to be honest, just because I think both offenses are thrown off without having their old star receivers. I think it'll be interesting. I don't know. It might be a little bit lower scoring than we'd otherwise think. But it'll be interesting. I'd have to go with the Chiefs, though, week one, just because, Trevor, the Cardinals have a bunch of injuries before the game even started. So it's just a little unfortunate, a little unlucky. Maybe you get a new athletic training staff. I don't know. But, it's a little unfortunate for the Arizona Cardinals. I just don't see, without all arguably his two best receivers, who Kyler throws to consistently week one. So it'll be interesting. I'm excited to see these two new look teams and see who steps up.
Trevor, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go, I guess, real quick. Ryan covered this game well. I think it is two teams with a lot of moving parts right now. We're talking about the change in receivers for the Kansas City Chiefs, losing Tyreek Hill, also losing the huge assets of Demarcus Robinson and Byron Pringle as well this past offseason. And, they bring in some new look guys, but at the end of the day, Mahomes still has a security blanket in Travis Kelce, right? Like, that's the guy. That's always been the guy for Patrick Mahomes, and Travis Kelce's going to play on Sunday. So for me, I'm not too worried about the Chiefs offense. I think they're going to be just fine. And we talk about the Cardinals issues right now. We don't have corners. I don't know if we're going to have a single starting corner if Byron Murphy doesn't play. Antonio Hamilton is already ruled out. Trayvon Mullen is already ruled out. Byron Murphy, if he's ruled out, I don't know who's left. Marco Wilson and who else? I really don't know.
I don't know who their corners are going to be.
I mean, it might be Jim Bob Joe, who they pick up off the street. I really don't know who's going to suit up at corner tomorrow.
It literally might be plumbers and firemen, like JJ Redick said about the NBA back in the day.
Exactly. Right.
Honestly.
Bob Cousy's going to come back to life and play for the Arizona Cardinals. So yeah, that's certainly a concern. And here's the other big concern, and this is going to come off as kind of weird. The Cardinals are playing at home. This is a bad thing. I repeat, this is a bad thing for Arizona Cardinals football games. We suck at home. We were 8-1 as a road team last year. 8-1. We beat the Titans, the Rams, the 49ers.
You smoked the Rams, didn't you?
We smoked those teams on the road last year. We smoked the Browns on the road. I'll throw that one in there just to piss Ryan off a little bit.
Baker Mayfield, baby.
And then we lose to the Seahawks and the Panthers at home. So I think the fact that this is a home game actually hurts the Cardinals in some weird, twisted way. I'm not worried about Kyler. I think Kyler's going to be fine. I think Marquise Brown is a very viable option for him. I think AJ Green is, it's good enough. I hope Zach Ertz gives it a go because I think he's a nice security blanket for Kyler. And here's the thing. I do like the Cardinals defense more than I originally thought I would like them this season. I love our safeties. I love our linebackers. And I don't hate our defensive line. I think we have some nice young edge rushers. Mijai Sanders from San Diego State, I think is a nice young guy. Marcus Golden is a vet, but I think he's a nice pass rusher for this team. I think J.J. Watt's a great leader. I think the linebackers of Isaiah and Zaven Collins, I think are solid. And again, I love our safeties. We got our Pro Bowler in Budda Baker. I think Jalen Thompson is also a very strong safety alongside him. I talked about him last year. I think Jack can remember this. Jalen Thompson is one of the best tackling safeties I can think of. He is an excellent tackler in the secondary for this team. And look, James Conner was a Pro Bowler last year. If he's healthy, there's no reason for me to believe that he's not going to be good and effective. And, he was basically the workhorse down the stretch of the season when he was healthy. I guess when he was healthy, right? And then Chase Edmonds were hurt. So
can I ask you a question, Trevor? Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah,
I'm just curious. Budda Baker's a Pro Bowler, and I know he's been a Pro Bowler a couple of times. Is he actually is he? I feel like he flies under the radar nationally. I don't know much. Is he deserving of that Pro Bowl? I'm just curious. Is he as good as they say?
This is another is Devin Booker actually good type of situation.
No, okay. I don't know. I don't know anything about
He
Buda
is
Baker.
an elite safety, an elite tackler in the secondary. He's an excellent pass rusher as well. It's a very underrated part of his game.
Jamal Adams 2.0.
He's a multi-time Pro Bowler for a reason. He's a very, very good safety. Absolutely.
Right.
To put it into perspective, we let Tyrann Mathieu walk so that Buda Baker could fly.
Right.
Anyway,
there you go. Wow. Thank you. That was
my final prediction is going to be final prediction is going to be the Chiefs 30-21 Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm going to say 24-17. Chiefs.
I can't wait to drop another bombshell on you guys. And I am going against all three of your picks this week.
Oh, boy.
As I'm taking, the injuries now bring down the excitement for me. I ultimately think if Byron Murphy and Zach Ertz play, I think the only way, let me put this out there, the only way I would change my pick is if both of them don't play. So if one of them plays, we'll ride with my pick. But I'm picking the Arizona Cardinals. And let me tell you why. First,
wow.
I think the Kansas City Chiefs I think the Kansas City Chiefs have gotten worse this offseason.
True.
Their defense, they lost Tyrann Mathieu. They've lost a bunch of players on both sides of the ball. I think it's going to take a little bit of time, like it did last season when they started 3-4, I believe. It's going to take some time for Mahomes to figure it out. Is Kelsey going to be able to kind of get his own work by himself? And can you trust the other receivers around him? And I think even if Arizona doesn't have the secondary weapons, I think, first of all, Buda Baker and Jalen Thompson are great cover guys. And then you bring another guy in who's athletic like Isaiah Simmons. I think we will be able to focus our attention on Travis Kelsey, and not necessarily saying that we will slow him down, but I think it's going to force Mahomes to trust the guys that haven't been around as long to make the plays that he does.
You won't trade him in fantasy, but yeah.
So I like that aspect. I also think talent-wise, Arizona offensively is very good, and against this defense, I'm a little skeptical on how good this Chiefs defense can be. And even last season, they were bad until they figured it out midway through the year, and now they've lost their leader and a couple other really good players. They lost Tre'Davious Ward, I believe, was their top corner. He's gone now. They've lost Matthew. They've lost some rushers. They're not very talented on the defensive side of the ball.
No, they aren't.
So I just think it takes them a little bit of time to figure it out coming out of the gates. And I love Kyler Murray, who plays great in week 1. We've seen it the last couple of years. Cliff Kingsbury, for how bad his teams collapse at the end of the season, he's great at the beginning of the season. He's 2-0-1 in week 1 with the Arizona Cardinals. For that reason, the Cardinals are home, and I know it wasn't very good last year, but I think the place is going to be rocking to have Patrick Mahomes there. Give me the Arizona Cardinals. Give me the underdogs. I believe, am I going underdogs in 3 games?
Yeah. Well, Panthers Browns are even. It's an even spread.
Okay. Well, I'm going with the
away team. Are they really even?
There.
That's crazy. So, that's awesome. Wow.
I'm going with the away team there. So give me the 3 underdogs. Give me the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, you said that the Cardinals have a lot of talent on offense right now. Do they? There's no
D-Hop for this game.
Marquise
that's
Brown,
what I'm saying. Yeah, this game. There's no Rondo Moore.
Trey
There's
McBride,
no
their second-round pick at tight end, is going to be a solid piece if Zach Ertz is unable to go.
Trey McBride. Okay.
Trey McBride, man. I'm telling you. AJ Green's going to step up like he did at the beginning of last season.
Trevor, it's like when I say Lamar Stevens is going to be great, you know?
I never said he was going to be great. It's next man up in the NFL. The guy can catch 6 balls for 50 yards if he needs to.
Fair point.
So give me Arizona just for fun, and just because, I've been riding this team, I think, throughout the preseason. I really like this week 1 matchup. I just think the biggest reason why I'm going with the Cardinals is because I think even despite their injuries, when those guys get healthy, they're trending up, and the Chiefs are trending down in terms of how they ended last season. So for that reason, I'm going with Arizona.
Here's what I will say. The Cardinals seem to turn heads early in the season. They really do. I mean, this is a game that under Cliff Kingsbury, the Cardinals have won. This is an early season game against an elite team or a considered to be elite team, a game that we shouldn't win. And it's a game that we won, right? It's a game that we won against Tennessee week 1 last year, week 3 against the Rams last year. So there's certainly, for me, a chance that this team wins this game. I'm just very concerned about the injuries. I really think the injuries are going to take a toll. And I know it's next man up, and I agree with that philosophy, but you're down your best receiver. You're down Rondale Moore, who's another solid, slot gadgety guy. You might be down your security blanket in Zach Ertz. You're down a couple of corners already. You might be down your best corner. Who knows? You might be down your leader on the defensive side of the ball in Zach Ertz. And even if half these guys play, they're not 100% healthy. So you're only getting, a portion of Zach Ertz or a portion of JJ Watt. I just think the injuries are stacking up, and I think that's going to be a lot to overcome. But am I worried about Kyler Murray playing bad? No, I think Kyler Murray is going to be very effective until October 28th. Why? Because Call of Duty comes out on October 28th. So I think Kyler Murray till November is going to look like an MVP as he has the last 2 years. And then he's going to look like Jacoby Brissett. I mean, he's going to look like garbage. So we'll see what happens. But, I really hope my Cardinals win. I hope they surprise me again in week 1 and start the season strong. And this is a brutal schedule for the Cardinals. I don't think we've talked about it enough.
It is, yeah.
Brutal.
We'll detail it week by week. Sure.
Brutal schedule.
Especially if the injuries catch up, right? Like that's going to make it.
We just need to get healthy, and we need to get D-Hop back, and we'll see what happens. But also, one last thing. I've been talking a lot, but I love my voice. It's very soothing. I think Kyler getting the big money now, I think is going to give him some new perspective.
Some ego.
Well, maybe that. Maybe he'll turn into Antonio Brown. Who knows? I really hope the big money makes Kyler realize how important to this franchise he really is. And I hope he's able to start finishing off seasons, and he prioritizes football, more than Call of Duty. I would think he will. So I don't expect as much of a decline post Thanksgiving, into the months of December and January this time around. But I could be wrong.
We'll see.
And then I'll want to shaft Kyler in mid-January like I always do. And then right around mid-October, I'll consider him an MVP candidate again.
Yes, sir. Well,
I want to add a new segment to the podcast for this football.
Uh-oh.
What is it?
It's picks with Jack. I'm going to give you a pick every week to sports bet on because I'm so successful. So anyways, talking about this
Trevor.
Cardinals game, this is my pick for the week, and I just wanted to put it on air for all of our listeners to go out there and make some money. Anyways, we got a same game parlay within this Cardinals Chiefs game, and I'm going to read it out to you real quick. Tell me what doesn't hit.
What doesn't? I've heard this story before.
Travis Kelce, anytime touchdown score. Marquise Brown. We've talked about all the injuries to the Cardinals' weapons. Marquise Brown, anytime touchdown score.
It's going to fall through his hands.
Kyler Murray, over 1.5 passing touchdowns.
I love that bet.
I love that as well. Juju Smith-Schuster, over 45.5 receiving yards.
I don't see how
I like that as well. And then lastly, an alternate over 45.5 points. Tell me what doesn't hit, Trevor.
Marquise Brown or Juju?
I could see the one that I'd be most worried about is the Marquise Brown touchdown. I think that's the most worrisome one. But the other ones I really like. I think Kelce, especially since Cardinals historically struggle in fantasy against tight ends, I think Kelce will catch a touchdown. I'm very high on Juju this year. I've drafted him in 2 fantasy leagues. I think he's going to be a very effective receiver. So I like the 45.5 receiving yards bet. And look, even if you don't love him, that's not that many yards. You can get that in one play. We already talked about the Marquise Brown touchdown. I like the alternate points. I think both teams are going to score at least 46 points. I don't see that missing. And what was the 5th pick again? I forgot.
Kyler over 1.5.
I love that pick. Touchdown. Yes, I love. The only one I'm sketching out about is the Marquise Brown touchdown.
Fair. I don't know.
Anyway,
we'll see.
with Jack. We'll do them
Juju yards to a lesser extent.
Jack, we're gonna have a record. We're gonna keep track of how many of these hit.
Please do.
Yeah, we're gonna see.
Let's
right?
play.
That one's a little aggressive, I will say. It's a 5-leg same game parlay.
Is that more aggressive than you normally do?
Yes.
That is okay. Yeah.
So
Let's play a game
but
called.
it's week one, so let's be aggressive. Why not?
Let's play a game called How Bad is Ryan at Sports Betting? And we're going to give Ryan one spread here, and let's see if he gets it right or wrong.
Okay. Give me something. I don't know.
I think this is a very, very interesting spread.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
Actually, I don't even know which one I want to pick yet.
Trevor, should we
Here
discuss?
it is. This is an interesting one for week one.
Okay. Okay.
Philadelphia at Detroit. The Eagles are -5. Who are you rocking with?
Eagles -5. No doubt in my mind.
The fact that it's only 5 points gives me a feeling that Vegas has this might feel like Lions money
Hard
line
knocks,
here.
man.
Detroit has some talent.
I will say historically in week one, underdogs fare very well against the spread.
They do.
Well, I'm
So-
going with the favorite, so we'll see how that goes.
He loves the SEC. He loves Tom Brady. He loves the favorites. This guy's so boring, man.
Yeah, you go
We
with,
gotta
go with
write
Dan
these
Campbell's
down.
team. We'll see what happens. Look, no, we got this. We got this in the record books. We'll see if I'm right. We'll see if it hits. But look, we can wrap this up. I'm excited for football tomorrow, but I know that Eden wanted to talk about one more thing before we wrap the podcast up.
Oh no, not baseball.
So I'll let him
Yes.
talk about baseball, and then I will also talk about how he's wrong. But let's go ahead.
So I know we don't talk a ton of baseball on this podcast, but since I'm wearing the Kyler Murray jersey, who also played baseball, I wanted to bring this up. But
Okay.
anyways, the MLB just made a rule change, I believe implemented next season,
Yep. Next season.
that they are banning the shift. And for me, I think that's wrong, and here's why. I think the shift is in play in baseball because the offense hits the ball there significantly more than they hit it the other way. And typically you're shifting for a guy to pull versus for a guy to hit away.
Yep.
So I think the defense's job is to have the highest percentage to get it out. I've also played baseball growing up my entire life. When you're in Little League and you're playing against a fast pitcher, you have a fast pitcher on your team. What do? You shift your defense to hit away. And it's the opposite in the MLB where everyone's pulling. But basically what you're saying is he's more likely to hit the ball here. So we want to position ourselves here in order to get the out. Now, baseball taking away the shift and saying you need 2 defenders on each side of second base, that to me is rewarding the offense for not changing. And basically, if you have 1 guy on the third base side and 3 guys on the first base side and you're the hitter, aren't you more likely to get a hit hitting to the third base side and hitting away from where all of the defenders are? So I think personally, if you are saying do this, like play to your weakness in order to beat us, which you do in any sport. In the NFL, you're playing defense based on taking away another guy's strengths. In basketball, you're doing it to take away another guy's strengths. That's the whole point of defense, is to take away a guy's strengths. But the MLB reversing this shift rule is not allowing you to do that. So I personally think the best way to end the shift would be just to hit against the shift so that they can't shift on you, right? But now it's a rule change that's instituted by the governing body in the MLB. And for that, I just think that's wrong. And that was my point on the shift there. So I'm against the rule change that you're not allowed to shift.
Ryan, go ahead.
Yeah, so like I get Eden's against the shift. Like my thing is this, like I just don't, one, I don't care. 2, like I'm sorry. Like here's the thing at the end of the day. Trevor, what's the biggest thing we talk about with baseball, right? It's not exciting
It's
enough,
broken.
right?
It's a broken sport.
Oh, true, but also it's not exciting enough. It's boring, right?
Right.
It's too slow. Right? Would you rather watch like would you rather watch guys just, ground out into a shift with 4 guys on one side? Would you rather watch, or would you rather watch people get more hits? It's gonna at least make the offenses a little bit better, make it a little bit more exciting in that sense. And so in that sense, I understand it because you just want more engagement. And if there's more offense and there's more fast-paced play, there's more hitting going on, it's going to be a little bit better to watch. It's just going to be like, even maybe for existing fans, it'll be better to watch. Like it just like you'd rather watch a guy get a hit than you'd rather watch him ground into a 4-man shift on one side. It's just like, that's not exciting, right? That's not fun to watch. I don't think that's fun to watch. I don't think anyone finds that fun to watch. So from that perspective, I get it, because baseball's a problem. They're not as exciting as the other sports. They need to find a way to, at least become a little bit more interesting. And so like, I get it in that sense, and I'm okay with it in that sense. And, I don't know. I just don't care that much about the shift. I know, like, and it's not the exact same thing, but I brought this up to Eden yesterday, and it's just like, look, like, I get like you're changing it because offensive players can't change, but also like you have this in certain other sports. And I just pointed out in football, like, you can't line up guys wherever you want in football either. Like, it's not like the offense is allowed to line up guys, there's only a certain number of guys that can line up off the line, right? So like you can't line up certain guys in certain spots. And that's to make it more fair on the other team. I guess in the same vein as this, you're not allowing guys to stack one side on defense in order to make it more fair on the hitters. So in that same vein, I understand it and I get it. And I think that they're trying to make it at least a little bit more engaging. So I don't have a problem with it. I don't know, Trevor, what you think, but that's
I kind of see both of your perspectives, and I'm going to build off of Ryan's argument a little bit. It sounds like from Ryan and like kind of like the pro baseball but perspective is we need a little bit of guardrails on like what we can do in terms of shifting, right? Like it's the same thing with kind of like your example with
exactly
football. You can line people up sort of how you want, but there's got to be some guardrails, and there's got to be some rules as to like what
a little
you
bit
can
of
and
structure.
cannot do. Exactly, a little bit of structuring. So from that perspective, I don't hate the rule change. Look, at the end of the day, I'm an anti-baseball guy. I think baseball is permanently broken when one team's payroll is $40 million and another team's payroll is $300 million. But that's besides the point.
100% right.
In terms of these rule changes, I don't mind that they're trying things. I think they're, like Ryan said, they're trying to make the game more exciting, engagement, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, the sport is broken. The sport there's just no salary cap. I'm just sorry. I'm sorry. It's literally, it's just who has more money, and that's not sports. Why do we love football and basketball so much? It's a level playing field in terms of money, pretty much, right? There's a luxury tax in the
especially
NBA.
The NFL.
Especially the NFL. It's a level playing field. You have to pay certain people and you have to let certain people go. That's the beauty of it. But in baseball, I'll just throw this guy $100 million. I'll just throw this guy $100 million. And the Oakland A's are not paying guys a sack of potato chips is a common example I use for poor teams. So I don't know. I think these rule changes are fine. I don't really hate or like them.
You're just saying they don't address the problem is all you're saying.
They don't address the problem. They don't address the root concern of baseball. Yeah. And also, I do agree with Eden a little bit. Why are we penalizing defenses for being smart strategists? We should force hitters to be better hitters. Like we're not penalizing hitters here by allowing infielders to shift. Hitters just need to hit to the open space or learn how to hit to the open space. But we're penalizing the defensive strategy of these infields and saying, no, you can't do this because the game's too boring.
Force defenders to be better defenders in the NFL.
But it's not, I mean.
That's what they've done with all the rule changes.
It's just kind of comparing apples.
No, I know, Trevor. It's not an exact example.
Contact.
It's just what I think of.
But I'm going to say it one more time. The root concern here is not addressed, and baseball is broken. I'll say it again. Baseball is broken.
Can I add? Trevor brings up an interesting point with money, which I never really thought was kind of involved in this situation. But during your talking there, I feel like it more so is. Have you two ever seen Moneyball?
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite movies. Of course.
I haven't seen it actually.
Oh, great movie.
So Moneyball is a baseball movie all about Billy Beane and the Oakland A's and how they built success through analytics, even though, like Trevor said, their payroll was only $40 million.
No money.
And I think analytics is a big play. I think analytics is the biggest thing within baseball. And I'd say the sport that involves analytics the most is baseball.
That's true. So
I just think it's interesting that if you're playing the percentages on the defensive side and this guy hits the ball here 80% of the time, but hits the ball here 20% of the time, why wouldn't you be allowed to put your guys on the side on the 80% of the side if you're playing the analytics? The reason I bring the money up is maybe there's a team like the A's who doesn't have the deeper pockets, so they have to rely more on the analytics. but a
No
rule
way.
change
This is
like
a
this
conspiracy. I know what you're saying.
maybe puts them at a disadvantage because it takes away the fact
Wow.
that they
It
can
takes
use
away their
analytics.
strength of using analytics. Is that what you're trying to say? Sort of.
Yes. This is, I mean, it's one clear focused example, and does it have a direct
Look,
correlation?
I
don't
love
think
the
so.
new Oakland A's marketing strategy of having two random people sit at the top of the stadium doing you know what up there. I think that's a great strategy. Catch it on film. Do you not know what I'm talking about, Ryan?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Never
but-
mind. I thought you would know. Eden
No,
knows
I-
what I'm talking about, though.
I know what you're talking about.
No, I just don't know. Like, that's not like real.
No, it was real.
That was real.
It was actually real. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I thought you were just making like making this up.
No,
Okay.
literally,
Wow.
that was like an actual thing that happened. I wouldn't
Okay.
just-
Wow. That's great. All right. Well, look, we've talked about enough baseball for the podcast, I think, right? You know, that was
Anyways,
absolutely exhilarating
it's not
stuff.
it's not the
That's-
defense's fault, and that's my point.
Look, that's fair. That's fair to say. Look, we can agree to disagree. It's the fun of this.
Let me just pay this guy $100 million, you know, just because I can. I think that's fair.
Look, I wanted to wrap this up. I think that's about it. I do want to say, by the way, that Notre Dame is only up by 3 to Marshall with 10 minutes left in the fourth. So who knows? Maybe Notre Dame starts.
Are you
the season
serious?
Oh, good.
0-2.
I think I
Yeah.
had them in my parlay minus 20.5. So good thing that lost already.
Definitely lost. Yeah, they're only up by 3. So that's
I got 2 shout outs to end the podcast.
interesting. I wanted to say that. Yeah, go right ahead.
First, shout out my boy Keaton Slovis for what he did for Pitt last week, coming back and beating West Virginia in the backyard brawl. I think it is backyard
It was a great
brawl,
game.
whatever. I just opened ESPN and he threw a 40-yard touchdown pass. Playing Tennessee today, big ranked matchup.
Ooh, the
there.
SEC, the SEC.
So, Anyway, shout out my boy
baby,
Keaton.
SEC.
And then my
Yes, sir.
second shout out for the podcast this week,
Tennessee's
NBA
winning.
2K23 has been released this
My
weekend.
Lord.
Cover athlete Devin Booker. My bed's a little messy, but I'm just going to pan over here real quick. I have that right above my bed. That little poster. So shout out NBA 2K23. Shout out Devin Booker. I will be buying a copy.
I want to give a shout out, and I was actually talking to Ryan about this on the car ride to work yesterday.
Yeah.
I want to give a major shout out to college football because I think they're doing some really good things. I really do. I think expanding the playoff was great.
We can talk more about that next week too.
I think the transfer portal is great. I think NIL is great. And I think we're going to start seeing this monopoly crack a little bit at the top with these teams. We already almost saw today. Alabama should have lost today, but that's besides the point.
One shout out. Long live the SEC. That's all I have to say.
And my other shout
Texas
out goes
is back, baby. They're back.
My other shout out goes to, I'm telling you, watch out for the University of Arizona football team.
Stop.
This team is exciting. This team is coming. Top 25 recruiting class, top 30 transfer class. I'm telling you, this University of Arizona football team has got me excited. I'm
Ladies and
looking forward
gentlemen,
to smacking the SEC tonight.
take Mississippi State minus 11, please do. You're gonna make money. Okay, don't listen.
11 and a half.
11 and a half.
Name one player on Mississippi State, Ryan.
They're an SEC team.
Oh, okay. Right.
That's all I need to know. Okay, honestly, I don't even need to look. I just know they're an SEC team that's actually pretty good. You want to know why I know that? Because they're in the SEC West, and every team in the SEC West is fantastic. That's all you need to know right there. And U of A.
Right, or Trevor, I think the Pac-12 West South is undefeated right now as well. So they're all undefeated. That's crazy.
Hey, wait, Eden.
Wow.
I'm glad you brought this up. Who did Utah lose to? Can you bring that
maybe
up?
not.
Oh, Ryan. They lost to an SEC East team. You're right. I totally forgot about that.
Unranked SEC team. Yes, sir. Wow. SEC.
Hey,
dude,
did you
SEC
see, Ryan?
is
Did you
so
see?
good.
True road games are tough. Alabama almost lost to an unranked team's backup quarterback on one leg today.
Wow. Yeah.
True road games are tough.
They probably
Wait, can we ask? Excuse me. Does it matter if you almost lose? Oh no, I'm sorry. They won the game. Okay.
So Matthew Stafford's a better quarterback than Joe Burrow. Oh, wait. It doesn't matter if you almost lose. So
Can I just?
LeBron.
Can I?
What
Can
about
I just?
LeBron?
Can I?
Oh!
Before
What is
Eden,
happening?
before
I'm
Eden
sorry.
derails this
I'm
podcast,
so sorry,
can I
Ryan.
leave everybody
Wow,
with this?
then it
And I'm
suddenly
wrapping this.
matters who's
Wait.
playing. Oh,
Eden,
wow.
sorry, he's folks. He's had a long week. He's having a
Wow,
tough time.
that's
But look,
crazy.
let me just say this. Let me leave you with this. If anybody here is listening and thinks that Matthew Stafford's a better quarterback than Joe Burrow, I'm sorry, you're just wrong. Okay, but look, we're gonna leave it at that.
Just look at what they've done.
We're gonna wrap it up on this podcast.
beat
We're
him.
gonna come back next week, talk about some more NFL. We'll talk about the expanded college football playoff and some more college football games. There are gonna be some fun ones tonight, highlighted by Mississippi State crushing U of A. But with that, we will wrap it up, and we'll see you back next week on the next episode. So we'll see you
There now.